You wake up tired, not physically, mentally. There's a fog in your chest. You scroll, you delay, you feel that low-level hum of anxiety again, and you whisper to yourself, "What's wrong with me?" You've tried to get better, read the books, started routines, tried journaling, maybe even therapy. But nothing sticks. You improve a little, then crash. Start again, then quit. Like you're on a treadmill powered by your own frustration. Let me tell you the truth no one dares to say. You're not weak. You're just trapped. Trapped in a system you didn't design. Your own mind. If you like this type of video, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Carl Jung saw this decades ago. He called it the unconscious. Not some mystical fog, but a very real set of mental programs running behind the scenes, guiding your reactions, your fears, your impulses, without your permission and without your awareness. That's the darkest lesson Jung left behind, and almost no one truly applies it. Until you confront what's hidden inside you, you are not in control. Not of your emotions, not of your choices, not even of who you think you are. You can build your routines, set your goals, hustle hard, but if there's a part of you that wants to fail, that feeds off pain, guilt, self-sabotage, you'll always collapse back into the old version of yourself, because what you haven't faced still controls you. Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This isn't poetic. It's neurological, emotional, personal. If your life feels stuck, it's not laziness. It's an inner conflict you haven't dared to name. And as long as you avoid it, your mind will quietly sabotage every step forward you try to take. But the moment you're ready to stop running, that's when the real work begins. Think you're making conscious choices? Think again. Most of your daily decisions, the ones that keep you stuck, anxious, reactive, aren't made by your logical mind. They're made by something hidden inside you, something Jung called the shadow, not some evil part of you. The shadow is simply everything about yourself that you've rejected, suppressed, or denied. The parts you were told were bad, ugly, weak. Your anger, your jealousy, your fear, your cravings, your selfishness, your shame, and you didn't choose to hide them. You were trained to. When you were a child, you learned quickly. Some feelings get love, others get punishment. So what did you do? You buried the unacceptable parts of yourself, deep, out of sight. But here's the problem. What gets buried doesn't die. It just moves underground and starts running the show. That's why you explode with rage, for no reason. That's why anxiety creeps in when everything seems fine. That's why you keep sabotaging relationships, procrastinating, numbing out, looping through the same emotional chaos. You're not broken. You're just being controlled by parts of yourself you haven't made peace with. The shadow is like a puppeteer in your unconscious, pulling strings, whispering lies, making you sabotage the very things you say you want. And the more you try to be positive, good, in control, the more power the shadow gains, because every act of repression feeds it. Let that sink in. Your inner enemy feeds on your performance of perfection. You think you're avoiding pain by ignoring these parts of yourself, but you're just stockpiling chaos. Until you confront the shadow directly, it will keep hijacking your life, and you won't even realize it's happening. Next, you'll see the armor you wear to hide it, the persona, and how it slowly robs you of your emotional strength. You show up, you smile, you say what people expect, you do what's right. You keep it all together, calm, polite, in control. But inside, you're exhausted, disconnected, fake. And here's the hard truth. That mask you wear to survive is slowly killing who you really are. Jung called it the persona. The social mask we construct to function in the world. It's not a lie. It's just incomplete. It's the curated version of you that earns approval, avoids conflict, and stays safe. As kids, we all learn the same lesson. Be who they want, or be rejected. So you adapt. Hide your anger. Swallow your opinions. Smother your instincts. You become the good girl, the responsible son, the hardworking adult. But every part of you that didn't fit that role, it didn't vanish. It became shadow. And the more perfect your persona, the bigger your shadow grows behind it. That's why the people who seem the most put together often fall the hardest. That's why the happiest photos hide the darkest nights. Because living through a persona is like trying to breathe through a mask underwater. Eventually, you suffocate. You start feeling anxious in crowds, numb in relationships, angry for no reason, because your true self is trying to break out, and you keep locking the door. Worst of all, you start believing the mask is you. Jung warned, the persona is a compromise between the individual and society, but it's also a lie that disconnects you from the self. And the more you invest in keeping that image perfect, the further you drift from your authenticity. You start living for validation instead of truth. And slowly, you forget what real strength even feels like. But here's the breakthrough. Once you start noticing the cracks in your mask, you can follow them back to your real self. In the next part, I'll show you how the shadow leaks into your everyday life, and how to spot it before it takes over. You don't need to go on a silent retreat in the Himalayas to meet your shadow. You just need to pay attention. The shadow shows up every day, in your reactions, your triggers, your judgments. But most people miss it, because they're too busy blaming the world. Let's get brutally honest. You know that person you can't stand? The one who makes your blood boil for no logical reason? That's not about them. That's a projection. A part of you that you've disowned, showing up in someone else like a mirror. You judge someone for being loud? Maybe you've repressed your voice. You hate people who crave attention. Maybe there's a buried part of you that longs to be seen and feels ashamed of it. Jung said it best. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The shadow is everywhere. In the guilt that crushes you after saying no, in the jealousy you feel when someone wins, in the fear that paralyzes you before taking action. You think you're reacting to the outside world, but you're actually battling the war within. Want a simple way to start spotting your shadow? Track your triggers. Every time you feel a reaction stronger than the situation calls for, pause. Ask, what part of me is being threatened right now? Write it out. At the end of the day, reflect. What pissed me off today? What made me feel small? Who did I judge, and why? Pay attention to dreams. Jung believed dreams are direct messages from the shadow, recurring themes of being chased, attacked, lost. These aren't random. They're suppressed truths asking to be seen. You don't need to analyze yourself like a lab rat. Just start telling the truth about how you actually feel. And when you do, you'll start to see how often your reactions are not you. They're the shadow wearing your face. Next, we go deeper. How to confront it without losing yourself in the process. This is where most people run. The moment the shadow starts revealing itself, envy, rage, desire, shame, something inside you screams, "This isn't me." And you retreat, back to your routine, your mask, your comfort zone. But here's the truth Jung didn't sugarcoat. If you don't face what you fear in yourself, it will own you. Confronting the shadow isn't poetic. It's raw. It's disorienting. It feels like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't lie, while everything you thought you were begins to crack. You realize the envy you feel isn't just petty. It's revealing a part of you that feels deeply inadequate. You realize your people-pleasing isn't kindness. It's repressed rage dressed as politeness. You realize your depression isn't just sadness. It's self-hatred pushed so deep it turned into numbness. And yes, it hurts. This is the descent Jung talked about, the night sea journey, the mythic inner path where your ego dies a little, so something real can be born. But this is also where the gold is, because here's the paradox. The parts of you you fear most often contain the strength you're missing. That repressed anger, it's the fire you need to set boundaries. That envy, it's pointing toward desires you've buried. That shame, it's showing you where your true wounds and your deepest growth lie. Facing the shadow doesn't mean acting on every impulse. It means listening, dialoguing, understanding where it comes from, and choosing a new response. You don't fight the shadow by suppressing it. You integrate it by making it conscious, by owning it without letting it drive the car. But know this, once you start this confrontation, you awaken something else. Deeper forces within the psyche that begin to emerge. In the final block, We'll explore what happens after this confrontation and why integrating the shadow makes you emotionally unshakable. This is the part no one tells you about. When you face the shadow, truly face it, something quiet but powerful happens. You're no longer just coping. You're no longer at war with yourself. You become someone different, not perfect, but whole. Because the moment you stop running from what's inside, you unlock the energy that was used to repress it. And that energy, it becomes clarity, presence, power. You stop reacting like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. You stop collapsing every time something doesn't go your way. You start moving through life with a calm that doesn't need to be performed, because it's real. This is what Jung meant when he said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." You reclaim parts of yourself that were frozen in fear, shame, guilt. You begin to express anger without violence, feel sadness without drowning in it, set boundaries without guilt, love without losing yourself. You become someone who can walk into emotional chaos and not be destroyed by it, because you've already faced the storm inside and survived it. This isn't a motivational promise. It's a psychological transformation. And yes, it's a lifelong process. The shadow doesn't disappear. It evolves. New layers show up with every new phase of your life. But here's the difference. Now you're aware. Now you have the tools. Now you don't flinch when discomfort comes. You meet it head on. This is what it means to be emotionally unshakable. Not someone who feels nothing, but someone who is no longer afraid to feel everything. And now, the choice is yours. You've seen the path. You've understood the work. Now write it in the comments. I'm ready to face my shadow. Not for me, for you. Let that be your first act of courage, because the truth is, the shadow doesn't go away, but you can become greater than it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.